Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to another video here from the off-grid garage in winter cold Austria. Yeah, it is that cold. Guys, in today's very exciting video, the electrician is coming in every second now and will take the house off-grid. You also have to do some other work inside the house, replacing and upgrading the whole switchboard from MCBs and 1 RCD to RCBOs. So all the circuits inside the house will be getting RCBOs. So the house will be without power as well as the garage will be without power. They have to turn everything off. And I've already prepared everything inside the house. I've got the Müller 200 amp battery sitting there, the 12 volt battery, and the good old Peter inverter. We have once again pulled out all the cables, connected all the fish tanks, freezer, fridge, coffee machine, very important for my wife. I've got my computer hooked up, all the network stuff is hooked up in the house. Everything can run from the Peter inverter once the electrician turns everything off. Inside the battery room it looks like this, nice and clean now. So I've pushed all the batteries, disconnected all the batteries, pushed them all into this side here, where they will be eventually anyway. And then they can do whatever they need to do here in the switchboard. I think they just install another circuit breaker there, maybe a 50 amp circuit breaker or so, which then goes out to the transfer switch inside the meter box. So everything is prepared for this exciting day. So because there's not much space here in the meter box anymore, I think we will take out the energy monitor for the grid, because well, there's nothing to measure anymore after we go off grid, right? There's not much going on anymore. It's only the grid connected solar on top of the roof, but I can read all the information from the Fronius inverter, and there's nothing on L1 and L2 anymore. L1 is the EV grid charger, in case we haven't got enough power, so I can plug in the vehicle in the carport to the grid and charge it. But this has got its own meter as well. So I think we can safely take out the energy monitor and the breaker for it and use this space here for the transfer switch. That's just me. They are here. Got my welcome sign.
I like the sign.
Jason, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. And you,
Yeah. Hey, Andy. Nice to meet you.
He was asking, why is it off grid?
Well,
you'll find out.
Yes.
What do we have?
Well, we are not quite off grid yet, but hopefully tomorrow at least, latest, or today. Let's see.
Yeah.
So, Jason from PowerMate has just left, and I think we are now off grid. Just right on time before the rain kicks in. So I have to recharge this Müller battery now. I quickly want to show you here on the app. So it says we have 0% state of charge, but this doesn't matter because the DALI BMS doesn't measure state of charge very accurately. More importantly are the battery voltages, 2.9, 2.9, 3.0, 3.0. So the battery is almost depleted down to 5%, around 5 to 6%. And it was fully charged to 14 volts, fully top balanced. So I've used all the energy of this battery with the Peter inverter within 8 hours. It's now, yes, 8 hours. This was like 7 fish tanks connected, the freezer, the fridge connected, and some other stuff connected inside the house, keeping everything essential alive. So good to know this battery delivers. But now it's time for a good recharge with the solar panel. But not in these rainy conditions. So that is pretty cool. We now have the house connected here in the off-grid battery and system room. That is really, really exciting. So we are doing the first off-grid test. I'm disconnecting the main switch, which will disconnect the whole property here from grid. And hopefully the light inside the house will stay on. It looks like they do, from what I can see there. The only thing turning off now is the grid connected solar, obviously, but this was only 150 watts anyway, because it is still raining. Okay, we are now completely disconnected from the grid. Amazing. And the lights are still on, fish tank is still running. So the next time when we have a power outage here in this area, we won't even notice. All right, I'll just turn it back on. And I'm feeding another 150 watts of clean solar energy into the grid. But we are not taking anything anymore. Nothing. Zero. Nada. So this is how the new switchboard looks like now. Yeah, it looks really, really good. Nice and clean. New plastic. Not faded anymore as it was before. And this is all looking really good. Except of the many fingerprints here on this clear plastic, which we need to clean a little bit. Yeah, this is basically what it was here inside this house. There was a switchboard on top of the wall from the beginning, because this room was a garage before. Yeah, this was where the car drove in, and then you had a door here to the kitchen, to the living area, to get your groceries into your house. And they repurposed this room, put some tiles in. So this switchboard was originally inside the garage. Yeah, I definitely would have designed and recessed a built-in switchboard which sits inside the wall and has just a flat lid on the outside. Good morning, my friends. It is now the next morning. We have survived the first night in fully off-grid mode. So it was quite interesting to watch the Home Assistant and Victron via M last night, because this is now the first time we can actually see when we turn on lights, certain appliances in the kitchen or any other loads inside the house, how much power they actually use. Yeah, and wifey was a bit scared at the beginning to turn on anything inside the kitchen, and she was always looking on her phone. I made her a little dashboard in Home Assistant so she can see how much power we're actually using. And I said, look, just do everything as you would normally do it, and we will see how it works out. And she had the microwave running and turned on 2 hot plates, and we were like 4.5 kilowatt. So the Multiplus actually started the Phoenix inverter, the generator as well on top of that, and we can go all the way up to 6.5 kilowatt altogether. And we used only 4.5 kilowatt last night as a peak consumption. Yeah, and this morning we turned on the dishwasher and the washing machine at the same time, so both of them are using around 2.2 kilowatts when the heating element is running. And here once again the Phoenix inverter started because we were over 3.5 kilowatt, and then the Multiplus starts the Phoenix inverter to produce more energy to cope with the additional load. So no problems at all so far. But yeah, very, very interesting to watch this on your phone to see what's happening inside the house. And let's see if we have created an addiction now in my wife and she looks on her phone all the time when she turns anything on. It is just you need to get a feeling about how much you can turn on before the red light in the kitchen turns on. And then we are at 5.5 kilowatts, so we are coming very, very close to the maximum capacity these two inverters can produce. But I think over time we will get a good understanding, a good feeling for that. So that is all good. We've got the house sitting on off-grid supply still. Main switch is on because we are exporting our solar. Everything else has not changed here at all, so this is all good. So in here inside the battery and system room, we have now the house circuit connected. So I can either disconnect the house circuit from here, from the outside meter box, or from inside the house with the main switch as well. And yeah, this is a 50 amp circuit breaker here for the house. Even the Multiplus and the Phoenix will produce only 33 amps maximum. But this has all been done to future-proof this installation, now this upgrade. So we can again see here the internal installation. There's the new circuit for the house. And we can see the 16mm cable here coming from the Multiplus and then going back to the meter box, to the meter panel and feeding into the house. The fan is turning on from the Multiplus. Let's see how much power we are using at the moment. Yeah, 2.3 kilowatts all in total. Yeah, and when this one is at 3.5 kilowatts, it turns on this inverter as well, which then produces another around 2 kilowatts on top of what the multi-plus is producing, and this both then feeds back into here and distributes to whatever we turn on, whatever we connect. And let me actually turn on the hot water here as well. So that's another 1.5 kilowatt, and we should be now over 4.1 kilowatts here for the multi-plus. Because it is a bit colder here inside the battery room, it doesn't show any overload or something, so we are pulling over 4.2 kilowatts now from the multi-plus. That means around 2.4 kilowatt coming from the battery and 1.8 from the solar directly. I could hear the click, and the Phoenix inverter should start up now in a moment. There it is. And then we should see this switching over, synchronizing. There we go. And now the mains is on. And now we are running both systems at the same time, Phoenix inverter and multi-plus, to cope with this larger load. Alright, let's turn off the hot water again. And we should see the power usage dropping to around 2 kilowatts or so. Yep, 2.2 kilowatts. And the multi-plus will turn off if we go under 2 kilowatts for 1 minute. And the multi-plus will then again be the only inverter which produces power. So this all works pretty well as it did before. And when the multi-plus turns off the Phoenix inverter again, I think it takes about 0.2 seconds or so until the multi-plus takes over the whole load again. And sometimes, depending on the light, you can see the light flickering for just a split second. So, and last night, because of the higher load, we had this a couple of times that the Phoenix inverter kicked in, turned off, kicked in, turned off. And I could see the garden light outside, which is LED, flickering for just this 0.2 second when the multi-plus changes over again. But I couldn't see anything else inside the house or so. Obviously, depending on what kind of light situation you have, you can see this just tiny flicker when the multi-plus turns off the Phoenix inverter or the generator. But the switchover time is so short, so all your computers, all your electronics, they just keep running. There's no problem with that. Nothing crashes or stops working or so. The time is just too short. Yeah, but pretty cool to watch when this happens, and the whole power is basically off for a split second. Oh yeah, we are now under 2000 watts, so it should take a few seconds and then we should switch over. Let's see if the flight flickers in here as well when this happens. Ah yeah, now we've got the situation that the bulb has turned on because the heating of the washing machine or dishwasher has turned off. And we must be using very little power here, 760 watts only, but the Phoenix inverter obviously is still producing power. So this inverter is actually charging the batteries now, but this inverter is getting its energy from the same battery it charges through the multi-plus. So we are now charging in a circle basically. Technically it's not a problem. We are wasting a tiny bit of energy now, of course, because the efficiency DC, AC, AC, DC again. But the multi-plus will turn off the inverter now in a second. And let's see if we see a flicker. No flicker at all. Lights stay on. You could hear the click inside the multi-plus, and the Phoenix is off again until we have the next peak load. Yeah, I've also got the battery charger connected to the mains, so this is basically my only connection to the grid here inside the garage, a double power point. And there's an extension cable plugged in. This is just a temporary setup. I need to find a better solution for that. And then I've got an energy meter in between. And this device charges around 1 kilowatt into the batteries now via the DC bus. This morning something happened again. Because at the moment we are only running the battery shelf as our main battery source of power during the night. And you can see here the battery voltage here actually went down to 48 volts. That's exactly here. And the Home Assistant then automatically turns on the battery charger here and starts recharging. We can see the voltage is climbing again up until this morning. And then, yeah, you can see the amps are going in and out depending on the load connected and the solar available. This graph here shows us the BMS min and max cell voltages. Yeah, another advantage of the communication we have established for all three batteries in the battery shelf. You can see here that cell number 3 of battery number 6, which is the second battery. So battery number 6 is our middle shelf battery, and cell number 3 was the lowest, and you can see the cell voltage there, 2.9, 2.8, goes all the way down to 2.5. And the BMS has actually disconnected this battery during the night. And when we have a look at the CCL and DCL of the system, it's 136 amps for charging and 187 amps for discharging. When this happened with the cell number 3 in the battery, in the middle shelf battery, and the BMS turned off, it reduced automatically the DCL, the available discharge current from the system. Yeah. Not that it affects me because I'm off-grid here, but if you would be grid connected, it tells the inverter, hey, use less power from the battery because one of them has turned off. So it calculates only with the 2 remaining batteries and tells the inverter you can pull only 136 amps instead of 187, what it was before. And then it took like, it was a 3:15 in the morning, and then it took like a couple of hours to recharge the system. At 7:50 the BMS recovered and said, okay, I'm recharged enough, you can pull full 60 amps for me again, and the DCL jumped back to 187 amps. So you can see how this now regulates if something goes wrong in the middle of the night with one of your BMSs, turns off, over temperature, over current, under voltage protection, like in this case here. It actually tells your inverter, hey, stop charging, stop discharging, whatever occurs. Yeah, and this is something which happened with the middle shelf battery. As you know, I talked about this in one of the previous videos. We have to actually maintain this battery, take all the bus bars off, clean this all up. Yeah, do some work on this battery so it doesn't happen anymore. But this situation, what we have seen last night, did never happen when the global power stack was connected as a second battery here with the whole system, yeah? Because there were so many batteries in parallel, it actually never got down to this point when one of the BMSs turned off. The more batteries you have connected, the slower the whole system reacts to something like this. And more batteries in parallel actually stabilize your whole system. It is not as quick responding anymore as if you have only 3 or 2 or 1 battery. The whole system voltage is far slower going up and down. So I never had this issue with the middle shelf battery when the global power stack was still connected. But here again, it highlights very well what was happening during the night. This BMS here in the middle shelf battery turned this whole bank completely off. The 2 remaining batteries kept going, but the established communication told the system, hey, something is wrong. And then in the morning I could actually analyze what was going on during the night and could find the issue with cell number 3 in this middle shelf battery. Yeah, my friends, I think so far this video for today of upgrading our system, going fully off-grid with a garage, with a house now. This all came a lot quicker than planned. I've spoken with my Sparky 2 weeks ago and he said, well, we've got some really big battery installations coming up in the next couple of months. If you want to get something done now in the next 2 weeks. So I didn't think too much about it, booked it in, and now we are done. So we are fully off grid. We still need to recharge a little bit from the grid now during the winter time to keep all the batteries here alive. But this also gives me now the opportunity to keep working here on the other side of the room and cable the bus bars, the MCBs and the battery connection boxes. And because our days down here are getting longer and longer now, we will be very well prepared when the sun starts shining longer, and then we can harvest and store all this sunshine here in these batteries. Yeah, so the big question is, will we survive with these 2 inverters and 2 electric vehicles, pool pump, hot water, electric hot water system, irrigation pump, grey water pump, house pump? We certainly have some big loads in this system here, but I think with the help of Home Assistant we can monitor and manage. It may take a bit of experience and awareness what we can turn on at the same time to stay under the limit of 6 kilowatt. But for the time being, I'm very excited to take this challenge and see how far we come. So if we ever go over the 6.5, 7 kilowatt of power usage, the Multiplus will obviously shut down with an overload protection. Power will turn off entirely. We are sitting in the dark house then. But after a few seconds, this one should start up again. And everything is good. But obviously the main goal is to avoid this entirely. My friends, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for all your amazing support. More videos are coming soon. If you enjoy this sort of content, drop me a like. Subscribe if you are new here. Yeah, we still got this 1 million subscriber goal. Also thanks to Jake from PowerMate who made this appointment in very short notice possible. And also thanks to Jason who was here the whole day yesterday, upgrading the switchboard inside the house with new RCBOs and installing the transfer switch and connecting the house to the battery system. Thanks PowerMate, love your work. And until the next video guys, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then, bye bye. And I can also finally remove the extension cables running from the off-grid pool circuit all the way back to the house, supplying power to the water pump, to this bed fridge, and I also had the other extension cable plugged into the inlet here for the hot water system. You may remember the electrician put in this transfer switch a couple of years ago so we can heat up the water from the grid like it is now, or neutral down from the off-grid system or a battery system. I have used the 12-volt batteries and the Peter inverter to heat up the hot water. Yeah, but now it can stay basically on the grid, which is off-grid. So, and there is pretty much only one thing we still need to do.